Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Radical Broccoli podcast. We are podcasting from Ericeira and it's a kind of warm day, kind of cold. It was a cold morning, warm day.
Yeah.
It's definitely more winter and personally I'm a bit tired, sick or like semi-sick maybe. I would say more of a sleepless night. And you, how are you?
I'm tired. Early waking baby. Always blame the babies.
Yeah.
No, but generally really good, I would say. I'm enjoying that it's still so warm.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit scared when it's gonna get like actual winter next week. But it looks like it's gonna be so sunny and beautiful. So I think we're gonna enjoy it so much.
Yeah. And super fun that so many of you are watching on YouTube as well. I love that we're doing it in video format as well. And a lot of you say that you connect so much better with what we're saying when you watch on YouTube.
That's so cool.
That's fun.
It's funny because in a reading before, we have learned, I think we did a reading we had together.
Yeah.
One of the things that was said was that video is really important for us.
Because of our energy type.
Yeah.
And so it's really fun that
it's actually...
that's true.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah.
One of the fun facts that you learn when you just dig into who you are. Highly recommend.
Yeah. And today we have a fun episode. We are having something called Joy Month in our membership. And what sparked the inspiration for creating a month focused on joy was a podcast that I've been listening to probably 5 times now. And it's a conversation between Jay Shetty and Joe Dispenza. And in this episode, Joe Dispenza, he talks about, I think Jay asked him, he said like, oh, there's so many of my friends that are like in their mid-30s or early 30s and they're so stressed because they're like not in a relationship, they haven't hit the milestone, and they're like in this survival mode almost because they're like, I'm not there yet, like how can I manifest love? And then Joe Dispenza, he leans back and he just says, you cannot, when you're in lack, you will only manifest more lack. Like you cannot manifest love from lack, for example.
No.
And then they go into the conversation and they start to talk about all the latest finds that, and Dr. Joe Dispenza is a neuroscientist.
Yeah.
He broke his back and neck, I believe, 7 different places, was told he's never going to walk again. In 10 weeks, he decided and meditated on fixing his back, and he walked out of the freaking hospital. Yeah. And he is profoundly changing the world. He has millions of people watching and learning from him. And what is so cool that he teaches the average, everyday, ordinary people like me how to become extraordinary, because he's digging into the science of it. And basically the big finds that he shares is 1, gratitude and love changes us. Not only like it feels good to be grateful, because it feels bad to be like, oh, fuck this weather, or fuck this,
Yeah.
It feels very draining.
Maybe.
But it changes our physical appearance. It changes our digestion. It lowers our heart rate. And when our heart rate and our brain waves are coherent, we actually attract, we manifest. And what's even more is that when we do that together, like in our community, it changes the electromagnetic field. Yeah. It actually impacts people around us. Yeah. It can change people's life for the better because you are better.
It's incredible.
And they've even measured this. They had a walk that's called Walk for Peace, I think. And they were 35,000 people or something like that did a meditation walk. And they had this instrument where they can measure the Earth's electromagnetic frequency, and it changed. Yeah. So it's measured. So
that's the cool thing about Dr. Joe Dispenza. I feel like he merges so beautifully spiritual, energetic, and scientific.
Facts. I agree. Yeah, and it's so funny because I discovered him in 2017, but he's like coming so hot right now into my life.
He's coming in hot.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, like, today's guest is Dr. Jonathan.
Oh my god. I want to manifest that.
Yeah. Well, he shows you how.
So we're going to dive a bit deeper, but that podcast, basically, I've listened to it now, like I said, 5 times. And what it showed me is that we actually need to teach our brain how to be grateful. It's a practice. We need to do it every single day.
Yeah.
And if we do it with other people, it's amplified and we actually change faster.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to bring it into our community. And that's why I also created this morning and evening meditation that we can do every single day.
I'm so excited to try them.
Yeah. And so that's the joy month. And also, so I'm super inspired, and I feel like, yes, we've all heard it, gratitude is good and all of this, but now when I read and hear it again, I'm like, I feel like I have a new aha moment every single day.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, whoa,
Yeah.
And I just want to share that because I think that it can help so many people and can change so many lives.
Exactly. And that is the thing. You need to go into it every single day. Because we naturally drift off, right?
Yeah. Because we are addicted to stress.
Yeah. And that's part of it.
Yeah. And I think that that's the biggest also takeaway from the conversation I had is that, hate is not the opposite of love. Stress is. Stress is what puts us in survival mode. It cuts off our manifestations. It it makes us more prone to disease.
Yeah.
It makes us less friendly to other people.
Definitely.
We take worse decisions.
We don't have clarity because our brain's fluids aren't flowing in the right way.
Yeah.
Creativity lowered.
And so basically, why are we so stressed? And then you start to see like, okay, and the ripple effect of being stressed is that you actually stress other people.
100%.
So it's the same, like we affect each other in that way. And I think that stress is what leads to agitation. It leads to people,
arguments, fights.
Yeah.
Hate, gossiping.
So it's like, that is actually the opposite of love. And we are so addicted to our phones as well.
I'm guilty.
Phone, time, and body. When you focus on those 3 things, you are in constant survival mode.
I almost want to cry.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't want anybody to guilt themselves or be judgmental. I've also lived almost 30 years in survival mode, maybe minus the 7 first years, but after it got imprinted.
Yeah.
But now we are learning something new, and it takes time to get out of it. Like for me, I couldn't have built a life where I was in rest and digest in my old environment. I needed to get out of that and move and change and, go all in.
Yeah.
But now I'm talking a lot, but that's the inspiration for the Joy Month, and that's also the inspiration for today's episode.
Yeah.
Because we really can transform the last month of the year.
Oh my gosh. And the really beautiful thing about this type of transformation that we're talking about now is it's not like, we need to do so much stuff right now to transform the last month of the year. You need to do this. No. What we're going to discuss and remind you is that we can slow down. We can create more space every single day to take a deep breath, to stare out in the air, to practice our gratitude. And we're going to feel like we get an abundance of time, of amazing feelings in our body, of health, even money, better relationships, experiences that you actually are present for in return. And here's why I feel like this is so important also for me personally. Because I see myself, right? We can see ourselves. We can also see that we are doing things that aren't coherent with the vision that we have for our life. So last month, as we've talked about, that we both had this period of like recreating the vision for our life. And I think that we both kind of have a similar vision of it's a very peaceful life. It's kind of slow. It's a lot of animals, nature, and lots of time with the kids, with family, with friends, with loved ones. And I see that vision is going to stay as far away from me as it is right now if I continue to do the same habits that I'm doing every single day, which is filling every little space of scrolling, of doing something. My brain is so wired for productivity.
Mm-hmm.
And I know yours is too, but I think that you are one step ahead of me in terms of knowing when to not do things.
Yeah, I am.
And it's triggering me because when I see that the calendar has empty space, I start doing other work. Of course, we have a lot of work. There's always admin stuff, there's accounting stuff, blah, blah. And I'm always looking to get the next thing done because in my mind, how I'm programmed is when that's done, then there's time. And sometimes that's true, right? Of course, we need to get stuff done, but the life that I'm creating is not one where I want to feel like I need to work every day from 9 to 3. I know that sounds so little for someone, but that's the beauty of the life that we have created, right? It's fewer and fewer actual work hours with more and more condensed, concentrated, like super aligned energy into those hours.
But of course, like, we've created a life where, you know, we can be on the beach and we make a video and that's actually work and it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
So you can say, yeah, we work this and this, but there's office work and then there's like creation.
Yeah. And I think that's also where I'm very highly programmed to believe that work is when I'm sitting here at the computer.
Yeah.
And the other things is kind of fun. But still, that can be the most like income bringing work that we do. It could be way outside of the computer. Actually in meditation, for example.
Yeah.
And so I feel really challenged in this area. And I just want to bring that up, like with full honesty and vulnerability. It's not like we've hacked this. This is a constant topic every single day to learn. And I find it tricky to find the balance. How much to do, how much to lean back. It's basically how much to be in the feminine, in the masculine. And yeah, it's one of the big lessons in life.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that it's not necessarily that you want like a super slow life staring. I mean, both of us love to create, but it's more that what I love is when I live fully in flow with, you know, some days I feel with myself like my energy is just not there. It's asking something else of me, and I always trust that. And when I do, sometimes it's like you need to feel. And it's just, the feeling I get is like, I just don't have energy. And then I know there's something process going on and I need to honor that.
Yeah.
And then when it releases, it always happens like either something goes on and it's so, you feel so good when it does.
Yeah.
And then you can wake up the day after and in 1 hour you've gotten more done than you would have the last 4 yesterday because you would have just been pushy. So I see with myself, when I trust the flow of myself, I show up so much more inspired. I do so much better work, and I don't really like to be pushed around and be in a certain structure where people say I have to be. I like to trust that I always deliver what I say I will, but there needs to be space within it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like when it comes to work, I actually really, really trust in that, what can I say? In that flow. And then there's always nice to have like frames and structures.
Yeah.
But I know for myself that if I am like constantly productive, there's nothing productive in it for me.
No.
I just fry my brain and I'm not a good version of myself.
No. And it's also important to mention actually in this regard that we are different types in human design. Yeah. Which has a big impact on how your energy ebbs and flows. So I'm a generator, so I naturally will like...
You have a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely part of it.
For sure. And sometimes it can be annoying. It can be like, oh my God, if this work was just as productive as the last one, we would have gotten so much done. Yeah. But then I look at nature, I'm like, that's not how it works.
No, exactly. And also, like, I have my...
That's the ego.
That's the ego, and that's also the patriarchy, honestly. We are women.
Yeah.
And we tend to forget, but...
Yeah, but can't you imagine like how much cooler is it to attract?
Very cool.
And how much better is it to make things on a balanced hormone system and feeling happy?
Yeah.
And what if it takes, like, if something takes 1 month longer but becomes 10 times better, isn't it worth taking it a little bit more slow?
Yeah, for sure. But most of us have never experienced that. Never even tried, never even thought of that.
Yeah.
So I think for some just starting out, finding more flow in their life, it can be really, really good to start. If you're a woman with a cycle, it can be a great place to start.
Yeah.
And it's definitely where I have started a few years ago, really allowing the cycle to be more of a holy time, to be a time with more downtime, more breaks. My senses, I get so sensitive. It's incredible. You know that I'm very sensitive from before, right?
Yeah.
But when I have my period, I can't even have strong light in my eyes. Every sound gets really loud.
Yeah.
Smell. 2 days ago, I was sitting in the car, like holding in front of my eyes like this because it was so bright.
Oh my gosh.
And then I just need to be either really relaxed, or if I'm outside, I also feel like I get recharged.
Yeah.
But those days are definitely for working a lot less and just only getting the necessary things done.
Yeah, I would say it's
The first day, if possible, just take
no
a
work.
full day off.
Yeah.
And I also don't do any exercise. Maybe some walking and yoga if it feels good.
Yeah.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah. But for sure, it's a process. And I think that we all have our sort of productivity triggers. And then it can often be something because you want to always hear that you're good enough.
Yeah.
And that can also be, I mean, I think after listening to and reading so much about the neuroscience and all of this behind stress, I think it's actually a chemical addiction.
Yeah, that's what Joe Dispenza says.
Yeah.
Right? That our brain gets addicted to feeling a certain way. And what it does is that it creates that as its new comfort zone.
Yeah.
Which is so wild. Like I was talking with a client a couple of days ago, explaining this to her, that kind of the stressful state that she was in right now is her comfort zone.
Yeah.
And what feels scary then is stepping out of that and actually feeling more clarity, more calmness, better health. Because the body's like, wait a minute, I'm not used to this. Get me back to the stress.
Yeah.
Scientifically, it just wants to produce the same. And also it wants to be on the same neural pathways.
Yes, exactly. And I think it's so subtle that you almost don't notice it before you get taken out of your environment or you're in this great healing session. And then you come out and suddenly you start to see your own past patterns and you're like, whoa, I was so stressed and I didn't even know it.
Yeah. And this often happens when we try to relax. Or like our clients are sharing, if they try to be more mindful, be more in meditation, we can subconsciously avoid it so much because it's so uncomfortable with that stillness, that calmness. Like, no, I need to do something. I need to move. I need to, no. There's so many things on my list.
Yeah.
Just because we're used to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why doing this in group and doing it in a community is so much more effective.
Yeah.
And because, for example, if you're alone and you're meditating, then you really have to come up against, you know, your own uncomfortableness. But if we do it together, then my nervous system or someone else's nervous system will calm yours down.
Yeah.
So we actually are so affected by who we spend time with.
Yeah.
If you're constantly surrounded by people who are stressed, like you pick that up.
For sure.
And that's actually the first point that we want to talk about today, is when it comes to, you know, coming in and transforming in the last month of the year and you're going into Christmas. And I mean, for me, it's so far away right now because I'm not in I don't have really any stress in my schedule this December.
No stress in the calendar? No?
But
I think people have it in the calendar, like this day is going to be stressful.
No, but seriously, it's always it's crammed. But
yeah,
the first point is energetic hygiene.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
It means to me, well, now we're talking maybe a little bit about two different things, but energetic hygiene is so incredibly important. To me, it means, I just get the sentence like clearing our aura,
Yeah.
boundaries, and deciding like where you send your energy to. It can be everything from how much time we spend on social media, how much of other people's emotions and energy you want to take in. I have oh my god, there's so much to say on this. This is one of the big topics in my life because I pick up on so much. And I have a lot of practices of sending things back, and I also have a lot of experience in learning when to say yes and no to things. And I still like do the wrong decisions, and I instantly feel it afterwards.
Yeah.
And but mostly I feel like I have really good energetic hygiene.
I would
so
say
important.
it's as important as to take a shower,
Yeah.
brush your teeth.
And showering and brushing your teeth can be part of creating energetic hygiene too.
Yeah, that's true.
Showering and washing your hands after being on social media, being in social groups, being in big spaces with a lot of people, or having uncomfortable conversations can be a very good ritual of just cleansing of what has been. I also like to just close my eyes and send energy back to the people that I've been in contact with, if it feels heavy to me.
But how do you know, like, if you, let's say you've been in this social event, like a Christmas brunch.
Yeah.
And then you come home and suddenly you have like anxiety, racing heart. I mean, I've had that happen so many times. Like I come home from being with a group of people and I start to feel so bad. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't feel like this before.
No.
Why am I feeling so... Yeah, it actually happened last time I was in Norway. I was at a lunch. And I sat in the car on the way home and I had so much anxiety and like catastrophic thinking thoughts.
Yeah.
And that's not very typical me.
No.
And then like, then I know like, wow, this is something I picked up on.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
How is it for you?
It's very similar. I could, for example, come home and feel like, oh, I feel so fat. And then I'm like, this is a thought that I don't usually think so much. Or like I can truly go into someone else's energy field if I'm not prepared.
Yeah.
And pick up on what they're dealing with. Or like, as you're saying, very classic of picking up anxiety, catastrophic thoughts, fears, or sadness.
Yeah.
And the opposite way, of course, with all of the emotions on the other side of the scale. Like people can truly lift you up, as we so well know. Kids, dogs, people with great energy, people who meditate a lot. And that's when you know that you've picked up on this. But the tricky thing is that a lot of people are just constantly surrounded by it, right? And that I remember very well from before. It was just constantly clogged energy, drained, tired. I have no idea if this is me, if this is another person. And that's when you, after a while, start practicing this. You know so well when it's you and when it's from someone else.
I have seen that in some of our clients, for example, when they have been in our retreats. And they say like, I feel so much clarity, I feel amazing. And then they come home to their usual environment and they're like, I feel horrible.
Yeah.
And then I try to remind them like, you know, what's the real you and what's the result of the situations that you put yourself in daily.
Yeah. And it's nothing against the people that you're hanging out with, right? This is all about you and yourself.
Yeah.
And your boundaries and your energy field and how you want to feel after you've been with people. And you are allowed to choose. I'm just going to remind you.
Yeah, exactly.
And which brings us to the second point that we wanted to talk about is actually how we become so much of the people that we are surrounded with. And why, when we are, especially on a growth journey, it's so natural to have relationships that end, that just have come to a natural close of the season. And people you feel more drawn to, people you feel less drawn to. And it's similar with people who you follow in social media, on podcasts, on YouTube and things like that. Like really, really choose people who expand you, people who lift you up, and people who give you something afterwards where you feel better than you did before, right?
Yeah, for sure. And this is probably the hardest one.
Yeah.
Because one, it's again about this addiction, because we are actually, I think, like addicted to, if we, for example, are surrounded by people where we often gossip or something, you become addicted to that as well. Or if you're in an environment where the normal talk is like, oh, it's like the everyday stress, hustle and bustle, you know, it's never time for nothing. Pick up the kids, get them to bed. We're on a time schedule. We can rest when we die. You can also pick that up and become addicted to it. And then
for sure,
it's yesterday I was waiting for my mom, and she came at 11, and like I was so tired, so around 8 I was ready to go to bed, but I didn't go to bed. Anyways, I spent so much time on my phone. And when I was gonna go to sleep, when she finally came, I couldn't sleep because I had like the worst anxious panic thoughts. And I was like, oh my God, I remember I used to be like this every single day. Like I used to live in a state of constant feeling depressed or feeling anxious and scared. And that was because I'd been scrolling for so long and reading the news.
Yeah.
Or just...
It can go so quickly.
It can go so quickly. And then I was just very grateful that I knew that, because if not, I would have thought, oh my gosh, something is wrong with me right now.
Yeah.
But then I knew exactly what I did.
I know what I did.
And then I could sort of send it back a little. And then luckily when I slept, I... what's it called?
Rebooted?
Yeah. The system was reset.
Yeah.
And I woke up normal.
Normal. Yeah. Very, very common, and also something that if we don't notice it, it can be constant. We don't know why we're so anxious. Oh, I can tell you, because you're picking up the energy from a gazillion people through your phone every 5 minutes. It's gonna drive us mad. I notice it very, like, more and more, that the more I'm on my phone, mood down, comparison up, anxiety up, gratitude down. Yeah. And I try my best to use social media mainly for my creations and connecting with the people that I want to chat with. Yeah. It's an addiction.
It is. It's probably one of the hardest ones.
Yeah, that, and saying no to spending a lot of time with people that you feel obligated to. But here's something that I like to think about then. Is the fact that if you always say yes to hanging out with someone you feel like you're obligated to, it's because you think that they will get something out of it. You're doing it for them. But you're totally stepping over yourself. And over time, your body will tell you. And are they doing the same for you? Or is it a very unbalanced relationship where you just give, and don't get much back? Maybe even get drained. And that's not worth it over time. No. I'm not saying you have to cut someone off. You don't have to end the relationship. Just be aware of the time spent. And the state of mind that you are in the time. And your practices, your energetic hygiene before and after. And it can change everything. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. So let's talk about the third point of today's transforming the last month of the year in the best possible way. Yes. As we did talk about a little bit in the intro. Gratitude. Yeah. How do you do it? Yeah, so gratitude, for me it feels, when I'm grateful, before actually I used to tap it on guilt when I thought about gratitude. I was like, oh, I should be grateful for that. Oh. You know, when you were a kid and you got a present and you were supposed to be so happy. So actually
didn't know how to feel grateful. But now for me, luckily, I do feel that I know how to be grateful, because for me, it's the feeling, for example, I have when I've overcome something and I look back and I see, wow, I don't experience that anymore. And then I'm like, oh, I feel so grateful.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that kind of feeling. And gratitude feels... It's something that is easier for me to feel after I have either meditated or had therapy or sort of done something to rinse out the gunk. Because for me it's hard to feel grateful when I'm, for example, stressed or sad or mad or all of the things.
Yeah, it's like jumping a little bit too far away from where you were.
Yeah.
It needs to be a little bit more gradual process.
Yeah.
But how do you practice it nowadays in your day-to-day?
I think the things that I'm most grateful for is where I am happy in the boring. Sounds weird, but I could, for example, drive my son to kindergarten, and it's a 10-minute drive each way, and it's not a pretty road, but I can be really happy on that drive.
That's
and then
so
I feel
nice.
really grateful for being in that state, because it has not been that way.
No.
Always. Or
No.
even just a month ago.
Exactly.
And that can make, like, it's small things that make me really grateful. And then some days I think that you have to really find the things that make you super grateful to be even able to tap into it. Because you can wake up really grumpy or feel like you're in the wrong place or feel that everything's just going wrong, and you just don't want to be grateful. Then I have to think about puppies, my son, the world, palm trees, surfing, warm water, everything that makes me happy, and then I can start to feel grateful.
Do you do it in meditation? Do you close your eyes? Do you write lists?
I do it all the time.
Okay.
All the time.
When your mind is wandering, you remember it, and it's become just habit.
After reading so much about it, I think that I think about it a lot, and now it's become a habit to do it all the time.
That's so cool. It's like you're making new neural pathways telling you to be grateful.
Yeah. I've become addicted.
Yeah, that's a very good addiction. And the cool thing is that it helps your body produce happiness hormones.
Yeah.
Like dopamine and serotonin. And
But
it makes your body feel really, really good.
But I really want you to know that I used to be so, in times depressed and couldn't even access gratitude. So I know that it's so hard to get there. But what I've noticed in myself is that I get scared to feel happy or grateful if I'm not in a place where I want to be, because I'm scared to be stuck. For example, you're in a job you hate, and then someone tells you, be grateful.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be grateful because that makes you feel like you won't get stuck in that job forever.
So
and
interesting.
it makes you angry, it makes you annoyed, like, why would I be grateful? I want to get out of this chair.
I need to be upset about this in order to move on.
Yeah. So the brain is scared to be grateful if you're in some situation that you really don't like.
And the funny thing is that it is the total opposite that's true.
And actually gratitude will get you out of there.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that's hard for us to believe.
Yeah. Wow. You need to let that sink in for a second. That's so wild.
Yeah.
I actually never thought of it like that. But I also remember a funny thing that always happens. For example, when we decided to move from Oslo and sell our apartment there.
Yeah. Sorry, my zipper is on that.
It was a process of letting go, of course, and a place that I really didn't want to be. I knew that I had to move. But it was when the decision was time to make the decision to let it go, it became really nice to be there. And I was like, why is this so good now all of a sudden? Now I'm so confused. Do you remember? And I was wondering that now, but now looking back, I could see that it's because you let go of so much of the resistance. And then you can see the good instead of stumbling over what's bothering you all the time. Because you know you're not going to be there anymore. So why bother focusing on the shit, right?
I think it's about maturity also, emotional maturity.
Yeah.
Because overcoming your own ego requires you to be mature. And that's sometimes very hard.
Yeah, I would say the topic of today's podcast is very linked with last week's episode. And I know that many messaged us saying that, wow, that episode really, really hit home. And especially the part of blaming others. And having that natural tendency. And just relating that back to today's topic, that will also put you way out of gratitude. In victim position, and especially when we blame others.
Yeah. And I just want to explain to you before we jump to the next, okay, so let's say you're in, I think one thing that was very relatable to me is, for example, I used to hate being in my body because I had at the point so much hormonal issues, and then I gained weight and I just hated being on camera. I felt uncomfortable with everything and I was just so claustrophobic. And I remember someone told me, but you need to be grateful for your body. I was like, oh my God.
Fuck you. You don't know what I'm dealing with.
I just wanted to run, you know? But it actually was the first time I remember overcoming my own ego. I sat in front of the mirror and I just stared at my body and I just practiced loving it, practiced letting it go. And I remember it's almost like the monster wanted to come back.
Yeah.
But I managed to tame it. And then I remember, whoa, I'm actually able for 5 minutes to be happy and grateful. And what I didn't know at the time is that what I did was that in managing that and overcoming, I met with myself. And that was part one of the healing process of actually healing my body. So what happened is, in taming the monster, learning to be grateful in my body was, one, I went out of survival state and into rest and digest. And I didn't know this, but being in survival mode was actually what blasted the cortisol and fatigued my adrenals and made this whole hormonal mess in my body.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was the root of everything that was going on. But it was so hard to be grateful for that at the time, but it was the key.
Crazy.
And then step 2, what also happens when you manage for just start with 5 minutes, is that you send signal to your digestion that it can digest. And it actually can change your microbiome. Like, you don't need probiotics. You can actually do it with your thoughts.
Yeah. I've definitely noticed a very good link between health and the state of mind.
And when your gut is good, your hormones are more balanced.
Yeah.
And furthermore, your brain and your heart are more coherent, so you can actually start to think more clearly and make better decisions. And so it goes. So there's only positive benefits. And that's why in these retreats that Joe Dispenza have, where they have these immersive 7-day retreats where they meditate for 5 hours and they meet themselves.
Yeah.
But he says he's seen people walk out of wheelchairs so many times now that it's almost not a surprise.
Yeah.
That's how powerful it is.
Inside of our mind.
So I think that when we hear that today and when we know that and we sit in that situation and we think that being grateful is going to make us stuck, try it one more time and just remember all of the benefits and see what happens when you meet your ego. And the last thing I want to say about that is when you come to on the other end, you will see, oh my gosh, it's only me on the other side of the sphere, and I'm the one who has to make the choices to make life better for myself. Nobody is gonna come save me. I am the one who has to quit the job. I'm the one who has to make life healing for myself. I'm the one who has to get the right help. And that's what we're afraid of hearing.
Boom!
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, I think we're touching upon something very, very important. Like, for example, a challenging relationship, and you're asked to be grateful, practice gratitude for that person. And you think, oh, fuck, I'm going to be stuck here forever.
I might start to like the person.
Yeah, well, maybe, and that would be great, right? Or maybe you will find the clarity, the confidence, the self-trust and worthiness to let it go. So either way, it's a win-win.
Exactly.
Okay. The fourth point of today's transforming the last month of the year. I like the title because it's like, you think you're gonna... It's a very different transformation than what I think people are thinking that it is.
Yeah.
The last point is very, very important. And it's about lowering our expectations and slowing down. It is winter time. It's inwards time in the season of nature. And it's about creating that space in between in order to not feel like life is just rushing, running away from you again with the stress. Removing the stress by slowing down and actually saying no to a lot of stuff, cleaning up your calendar, having time to just be. Because when the hell are you going to practice gratitude if your calendar is whammed? You're not going to do it.
No.
So we would love to invite you, encourage you to do an inventory check, as I like to call it, of your state of being right now, of your current stress levels. You can do this in your journal, of your current levels of gratitude.
Yeah.
And also of how you feel about the space in your calendar the last month of the year. Is there something that you don't want to do that you have said yes to? And is there stuff that you do want to do that you don't have time for because you're doing all the stuff that you don't want to do? How can you make these small but essential adjustments this last month of the year in order to enter the new year in a new state of you?
What are your, or do you have, what do you want to sort of change around in December to make it a jolly holiday?
Jolly holiday. I want to be less on my phone. I just, like yesterday when I was with my son for, I don't even know how long it was, maybe 2-3 hours. I put my phone, my watch away. I had no idea what time it was. I just wanted to tune in with us, to notice his expression, to notice if he's communicating that he's hungry, if he's tired, without checking the clock. And it's just so nice. And such a good practice for me, because I have been lately feeling that time has been flying so fast. Like, I can't believe it's Friday again. I can't believe it's Sunday again. And that's not a good feeling. And I would love to just have more time and space. So I think that's a big one. And I'm actually really good at practicing gratitude. So I'm going to continue doing that. I feel like I'm generally at a very strong and good mental state when it comes to that. And I have also been the total opposite a few years ago. Just so scared of everything. So insanely scared. Catastrophic thoughts all the time. Worst case scenarios. So we know it's not like we've been feeling like this all the time. And it goes up and down for sure. But I think that's... and I want to do more things that I just think is fun and joyful.
I've been watching on YouTube this family that you have loved for a long time, but I just found their YouTube channel, the Beaston
Yeah,
Bunch.
I love them.
They do so many fun things.
Yeah, their life is about doing things for fun.
Yeah. It's
And that's the
very
channel.
Inspiring.
Super inspiring. And they have millions of followers
Yeah.
for that very reason that they're just like, let's go to a baseball game.
Mm.
Today we're going to Disneyland.
Mm.
And I'm not saying that I want to do stuff like that all the time. But
I think for myself that I'm such into a routine right now.
yeah.
And I'm like, it's a little bit boring.
Yeah. I have some.
And I almost, when I feel resistant to going out of my comfort zone now to doing fun things. So then I'm thinking, that's probably where I need to go.
Yeah, exactly. It's always the gold. We always find the gold where we have most resistance, big or small. And this is a great example of it. And I have invited us to start by taking a skate class next week. Because it represents just fun and joy and doing something that there's no thought behind it. It's no what's it called? Prestation. No, there's nothing like I'm doing the skate class to become a good skater. No, pure for the fun of actually feeling how it is to skate.
Yeah, now Mom is here for a week, so I'm just inviting lots of fun, spontaneous being, and
she's very good at that.
Yeah, she's Mrs. Fun.
She's the president of
she's
fun.
Mrs. Fun. She's Mrs. Yeah. Anywho. But yeah, I know that it's time to have a little fun.
Yeah, and we're also both looking at travel for January.
That's fun.
It's scary, but it's fun.
But that's another place where I'm more than you probably in guilt when having fun because it's unproductive.
Really?
Yeah.
Travel?
Fun.
Fun?
Yeah. Doing things. Okay. That's not productive. Really? So we all have our stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the fun part.
Is that we can change it. By being grateful.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas. Yeah.
That was fun.
No, this was fun. And purposeful.
We are very weird, just so you know.
I think
all right. I think you know.
This is today's dose of our podcast.
Yes.
And I really hope that you enjoyed it. I think there's some really important good takeaways in here. And if you follow our advice, your life is going to be incredible.
No, but really, you're going to start to feel like you are...
You feel lighter.
You feel lighter, and suddenly you start to walk around and be like, oh my god, the sky is so blue.
Yeah.
And then you're just so happy, and people look at you like, what are you on? But you're just happy.
And you see a 222 and you feel connected to the angels. And then a butterfly flies across your head.
But then the cool manifestations come in and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, true.
All right.
Okay.
Until next week.
Join
the membership to keep gratitude going in the month of December.
The momentum of your life in a high frequency. My gosh. In community. Love you.
Bye.